Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. I don't know if you know, there's a little game this weekend called the North London Derby. North London just so happens to be the brightest colour of red. They've been drinking Tottenham tears all day. And that's all I'm going to do for the Arsenal and Tottenham bit of grudge and rivalry we have, because this is about all teams around Europe and the Premier League, not just Arsenal. But I just thought I'd dig that in today while it's still fresh, because I don't want it to get tomorrow and it's be seen as we're dragging it out or stale. But you can catch any Arsenal Tottenham banter on the Arsenal show tomorrow at 8. But for today, we're going to be talking about Manchester City's 15 charges and the biggest case in football history. We're going to be talking about Man United won this weekend. Garth is here. let him have his flowers. Let him have his light. While it's still bright. We're going to be talking about the Champions League that's coming up, the new format, the Europa League, Conference League, or the Europa League that comes up next week as well. There's plenty to discuss tonight. And also, of course, we're going to do our Premier League predictions. I'm joined by Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, good, mate. Looks like just as well as you are, I suppose, mate. So, yes. Still dwelling in the joy of our win against the Spuds. So yeah, good.
All right,
all good.
Right. And Garth, welcome, Garth. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, mustn't grumble, mate. It's been a reasonable weekend for once. You know, my mental health didn't take a pounding at 12:15 on Saturday for once. Which is
and
nice.
You got to watch Match of the Day as well.
Yeah, which is always nice as well. Yeah, not having to sit through it like in the Man United bit.
It's so rubbish when your team loses and you've got to watch Match of the Day.
I don't watch it. I don't watch it. I'm lying. Yeah, I just don't watch it. So
I don't watch it. Even if we draw, I don't watch it.
It's horrible, isn't it? It's just not the same. You've got to relive it. It's not fun. All right. Let's get on to the show. Obviously, the Manchester City are set to face their court case where they are going to be against the 115 charges from the Premier League. A story which came to fruition after a Portuguese hacker decided to hack into Premier League teams, found some emails of Manchester City's, and then sold that news to a German outlet. And since then, Manchester City have gone through the mill to try and drag this case out as much as they can. But today is the day when it started, and we should have a verdict by early 2025. Some of the charges that Manchester City face could lead them to getting a points deduction, which could see them relegated from the Premier League, a fine, which is not really going to touch them, or even a transfer embargo. We'll start with you, Steve. 115 charges for Manchester City. Finally, the Premier League is getting around to it. Some of the other cases they got around to a lot quicker. Chelsea and Everton, two that you could mention. They're getting around to it now. It seems like we are going to finally see a verdict from this. Do you think it's going to be something that harsh that Manchester City deserve if they are found guilty? Do you think that they're bringing in the best lawyers to try and get away with it? Do you see them getting away with it? What's your thoughts on this case?
I don't know. Look, when you listen to, the experts, because I think none of us are really experts on this. I'm sure as the charges go on and over the days, the weeks, the months, or whatever it is, we'll get to know more of what it's all about and how serious it is. But listening to the experts and people that know a lot more than I do, I mean, from what I can make out, is they're going to get done. They're in trouble, and that's from talking to not silly people. I'm not talking to like a fan, who's got their view. This is proper, other journalists, proper people who are involved, and writing about it and are ready to, with their pens and papers and, waiting for the news. And, I've looked into it, a lot more than probably what we have. it seems to me that they're going to get some kind of punishment. You know, I spoke to a person a few days ago who had spoken to someone at the Premier League, and he basically, you know, without going into it, we'll be honest, be here all day, that, you know, they're not going to be, they're not, Premier League ain't going to do this, make them look stupid if there's nothing's going to happen. They're doing it, and, you know, they're going to put their case because they've done wrong. As far as, you know, what the punishment is going to be, you know, most people are saying that it's going to be like a points deduction. What that points deduction will be is anybody's guess at the moment. But, you know, they're again talking to some very sort of people who are in it's quite a substantial point deduction, where, but, you know, enough points to sort of, you know, sort of accumulate over the charges that will make them get relegated, which will just be too far to come back from. And look, I mean, nobody likes seeing this, yeah, but look, if they've done wrong, you know, they've got to be punished for it, and they have done wrong, and they do get found guilty, then they have cheated. There's part of me, the football man, the football part of me, you know, the one that's watched it for all these years, that doesn't want them to be found guilty, because I don't want to believe that, you know, an English club has done this. But look, at the same time, listening to people, it seems that they're in trouble, and if they are, and they're found guilty, they've got to be done in, you know, hit heavily with it. Whether they'll take the trophies away or think that's part of it. I've been asked, you know, because of Arsenal last season, do you want? And I don't want the trophy. You know, I don't want an asterisk next to my Arsenal won the trophy last season. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. I don't want it. You can stick your trophy, right? Just punish the people that are cheating, so it doesn't happen again. So we'll get to know more as time goes on. But that's probably where I am as we sit today.
Yeah, Garth, 54 counts of failure to provide accurate financial information between 2009 and 2017. 14 accounts of failure to provide accurate details for player and manager payments between 2009 to 2017. 5 failures to comply with UEFA rules, including financial fair play. 7 counts of breaching Premier League PSR rules. 35 counts of failure to cooperate with the Premier League investigation during December 2018 to February 2023. These are some brutal accusations, which over the years, Manchester City have brought in the best lawyers from around the world to kick the can down the road, but the can's hit a brick wall. Should Manchester City be worried? Did you feel like they could get relegated, or do you feel like the Premier League will do something to ensure they get a fine which upholds the integrity, but potentially losing one of the biggest clubs in the country could be detrimental to the Premier League? How do you see this going?
Yeah, I can't see him getting relegated. You know, first of all, I completely disagree, Steve. I love to see it. I want Chelsea. I want Man City to be cheats, and then I want Chelsea to be cheats as well. The football man inside me is desperate for Man City to come crumbling down. So, yeah, listen, it's Man City. Bottom line is, I agree with Steve. A lot of the experts that I've seen online, that I've read personally, have all said the same thing, that they're in trouble. Bottom line is, it comes down to the court finding them in trouble. We all know Simpson's guilty. We all knew that OJ was guilty. Everyone knew he was guilty, and yet he still walked the streets like. It's court of law at the end of the day. It's what way the wind blows. You know what I mean? Do the Man City lawyers come up with a good case? Yeah. Like, I think from what I've heard, it's that 35 times failure to comply that's really pushed the Premier League over the edge. Like, that was the one where, like, basically they thought they were taking the mick now. You know, like. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it'll be a hefty points. I reckon you're probably talking 35. Like if it all comes out, they get done for everything. I reckon you'll see 35, 40 points. Not enough to get them relegated, just enough so that they're down the bottom of the league this season. You know what I mean? But look, what's 35, 40 points to Man City when they're
Top
knocking out
still.
90? You know what I mean? Like they're knocking out 90 plus every year. And a fine, but a fine means nothing to them.
Yeah,
like,
it
it really
doesn't.
doesn't. You could have the most world record fine of hundreds of mil, and it still don't mean anything to them. Personally, I think you're going to see more things akin to transfer bans for a couple of years, possible expulsion from Europe for a season. Like I think you'll see more it go down that road, or maybe not from Europe because it's Premier League actually. But when UEFA do their ones, you know, those sort of punishments you'll see more than them get relegated because Man City won't. The Premier League won't want Man City relegated. They want to keep that. Yeah. Them ties with Saudi Arabia are like, and people can scoff at that what they want, but it's the truth. All clubs are the same. Like everyone wants their ties, mate. That why think they might go to America every year? You know, but like you got to keep those ties strong. So the Premier League got ties with Saudi Arabia. They're not going to want to let it go down the drain. So I mean, I'd love to see him get. I saw someone say 60 points. I'd love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. But then do Man City go down if they lose 60 points right now? I reckon they still sneak up somehow.
Oh, yeah, I reckon they still survive.
Yeah.
And especially when you've got that, you galvanising the squad to make sure they don't get relegated. You're probably talking like the biggest points haul the Premier League's ever seen, ridiculously. Like they've just got that in them, haven't they?
Yeah. So but no, listen. Well, I want them to get done. I agree with Steve's sentiment. If they've been cheating, it is cheating. It's bending the rules. It's cheating. It's a little bit less than like Juventus match fixing, obviously. You know, it's on that same. But it's close, you know what I mean? And Wenger spoke about this I used to scoff at him when he was talking about it, the way it was going, and now like financial doping's ruining football. And you can see it is. Look at Man City, they've won 5 of the last 6 titles in England. There's got to be a correlation. It's not just that Pep's that good, you know what I mean? So hopefully they get their punishment and their just desserts. But listen, I'll never trust a court of law, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I wonder how much they're going to use the fact that the information was potentially presented to them illegally, and how many of those cases which they put into the paper already, which gives them some sort of prejudice to the information that the jury have got to deal with, how much they could take those cases off, and it's only going to be the cases put forward that since they found out. So there's so many different things these lawyers may try and do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it is a court of law, it's not just black and white. Oh, this is what we've got. This information you've got. How did you acquire the information? These are all very important things when you're taking it to a court of law. But I do see Manchester City getting in trouble. Put it this way: if Manchester City get the 30-point deduction, they still come above Manchester United last season. They come.
Damn.
That's brutal.
Brutal, bro.
That just shows how good Man City are, doesn't it? Really.
So listen, unless they come out and the punishment is straight, you're relegated. I don't see them getting relegated on a points deduction. Like,
it'd be quite calculated. Crazy. Enough points to make it look like, that's the biggest we've seen, because it'd be more than what Everton have dealt with, but not as much that will quite push them over the edge to get relegated.
Yeah.
Steve, do you see it the same way that the Premier League don't want to risk Manchester City getting relegated because it could? But they at the same time they want to keep the integrity by showing that they're serious with this case.
I think it's probably more to do with keeping their brand, you know, and keeping Man City in the lead than keeping their integrity. You know, they just want Man City in it, you know, for money reasons. You know, okay, we're not going to be made to look fools, but you know, you need to be punished. Which makes me think, saying that they could be doing some underhanded deal behind the scenes, talking now while we're talking that, you know, oh look, we need to give you some kind of punishment, but you know, we'll make an agreement where it's not too not too heavy. So yeah, I don't probably think they're too worried about the integrity of the league. Look, maybe they are. I don't know.
No, they're not.
They're not. They're not. Yeah, my first thoughts were like,
you're giving them too much credit there, Steve. You're giving them far too much credit. They're about Benjamins. That's what they're.
Yeah, but no,
mate.
Yeah, no, I think it's that. I don't think it's good. And on the. I mean, if they wanted them to get relegated, they could. You know, they can do that, can't they?
Yeah.
You know, if they could say 90 points, that's relegation, isn't it? You know, 60 points, maybe not. 90, yes, it is. So it's the same thing, isn't it? You know, it's just done differently. But nah, I don't think it's about. I mean, how long would it go on for? This probably go on for like the end of next season. Be interesting to see how it affects them. Do you know what I mean? While this is going on now, you know, the players, and will it bother them? Will it bother Pep? Will it bother their like on-field, you know, performances? You know, that'll be something.
Well, Steve, I was going to ask you this. I was going to ask you this last time. I don't know if you know. Has it affected them this year? Because they've been very quiet in the market. So has the fact that they've got all these charges in front of them and they know that they've got to toe the line a bit, has it affected them this summer, do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, the young kid is really the only bloke that's come in, and that deal was done ages ago.
Last year, yeah.
You know, so other than that, they've done nothing.
Yeah,
So
I think there's a little bit of that in there.
You know, Alvarez, like we was all saying, like when we was doing the transfer shows, that you know it was a no-brainer. You got to replace Alvarez.
He's definitely. We all said it. Yeah, he's definitely going to buy a striker. Yeah.
But there wasn't even like an inkling after that of someone, you know, that was coming in. They obviously we thought Tony might have been a shout, but obviously, you know, there was no interest in him whatsoever. It didn't seem in the end. So, you know, amongst others as well. You know, there was a few out there they could have bought. You know, maybe second strikers, bench strikers, but they never. So yeah, definitely, mate. You know that could play into it. So yeah, there's different ways it could affect them, but time will tell, won't it?
Yeah,
time will tell.
Definitely, time will definitely tell. Well, we'll be hearing more news throughout the months and the coming weeks, especially since this story is very, very new. But the final verdicts will be early 2025, so keep a lookout for that one. We've got the Premier League predictions. We're 4 games into the Premier League. We've seen some shocks this weekend. Obviously, we saw Liverpool lose to Nottingham Forest. Manchester United won, another shock. While he's here, you're sitting there like, so happy you don't even take what I'm saying. You're like, yeah. What? Although Southampton used to be a bogey team of Man United.
When we get into it, they still could have been, man. Yeah,
they still could have been.
Yeah.
But Garth, Man United.
We're going to it.
Yeah, let's go to it right now. Man United got a 3-0 victory the other day. It could have been different. It started off with a penalty save from Andre Onana, but then Man United went on to win that game 3-0.
Yeah, it's one of those score lines. It looks a lot more comprehensive than it actually was. Southampton, even before the penalty, they had that young winger. I can't think of his name now. I'm doing him a disservice, but they had a
Giblin.
Oh, the one with the low socks.
Yeah.
Tidy.
Great save for Onana to keep him out early doors. Then they had the
Tyler Giblin.
Tyler Giblin, yeah.
Giblin, yeah. So they had the better of us for the first 30. On a quick side note, obviously lived in Southampton for 6 years. I worry for Southampton watching that performance because even though they've done well against us, they've got no bite, no finish, and their defense is bad. So, like, I've got real worries for them. May I though? Yeah, similar start to most of our games this season. Started slowly, let the opposition outrun us, outplay us, outpass us. Lucky, as I said, Southampton haven't got no bite to them. We survived a couple of scares. Then got a nice goal. Rashford, good to see him scoring again. It was a nice goal from Rashford as well. Individual bit of work. You know what I mean? Like shimmying past one player and hitting it low into the bottom corner. Maybe a bit of a scuff, but when you haven't scored for 13 games, you need those to go in, don't you? You know, you need those to go in for you. So, and then, a nice jammy little goal at the end to wrap it up. Apart from the goals, it's a pretty boring game, to be honest with you, lads. I don't know if you watched it, but for Man United, yeah. So the first 30 minutes it's Southampton, and then after that it's just a couple of routine goals and not much else happens. Like I haven't got much insight to give you on the performance, if that makes sense, because Southampton were bad. So, and it's the same Man United.
Yeah. It was pretty much that. I mean, if Garth sort of analysed it perfectly, I would have I've said exactly the same. You know, Southampton look decent. The young kid who we mentioned looked dangerous. You know, at the beginning, It was definitely a penalty. You know, there was no arguments about that. Then it was quite a poor penalty from Archer. You know, no save. Yeah, the first 35 minutes, it was like, oh my god, you know, this ain't looking good. And I think I even said to someone in the group that you know, I thought Southampton looked quite good first 35 minutes, passing the ball back. Yeah. But you know, they're playing some nice football. Russell Martin, you know, he's got them. You know,
they don't really keep you in the Premier League though, does it?
Well, exactly that. Garth has already mentioned that once he got up to the final part of the pitch, you know, and they had nothing. You know, there was absolute nothing. So, and the defence wasn't great either. So it was like the defence was okay. They played it around nice. You know, passed it well. You know, midfield pretty much the same, but the defending wasn't great. When Man United did get hold of the ball and they did come forward, they looked like pretty much scoring every time.
Yeah, they folded Southampton. That's why I'm worried. Like, if that's what they've got against quite a frail Man United attack, like they're in trouble this season because they were like folding every time we went at them. So
did we go through their what did we give them their transfer window, Garth?
We said they were buying for the championship. That's exactly what we said.
Did. Yeah. Because I look at their starting lineup. That back line, I'm pretty sure, is the back line bar Aaron Ramsdale that they pretty much went down with. Bednarik,
It feels like he's been there for about 2 centuries now, Bednarik.
He has been there for ages. He has. Jack Stevens would they get him from Leeds, was it? Or was one of them clubs? So he's been there for a while. Southampton, Prima Fargal. I'm not trying to dig out these players, but these are not Premier League players and Premier League experience. I think the best player you got there at your back line is Walker Peters. And I mean, they've just not.
Do you think it was a surprising club for Ramsdale to go to, Kears? Was you shocked that he couldn't have got someone a bit better than that?
But who though? If you look at the table, who needs a goalkeeper? And that's what it's more about. Who needs a goalkeeper? I know there was a lot of talk about Chelsea, but they've just spent upwards of 200 million on 3 or 4 goalkeepers over the past 3 seasons. They can't go and spend another 30 million. That's crazy. There was talk of Newcastle, but they've still got Nick Pope and like him. So I think they wanted someone who wasn't quite at Aaron Ramsdale's level to be sitting him on the bench or sitting either of them on the bench. That's why they were looking at, is it Talbot or who's the one from
Trafford.
Burnley? James Trafford.
Yeah, James Trafford.
That's why we're looking at him. So he's a bit on that borderline of you could probably get him on the bench for a season or 6 months, but next season you're going to have to swap him over. I don't think you've got another season of that. Aaron Ramsdale.
They were probably better off. I mean, it's all hindsight, isn't it, now? But I think they're probably better off getting a lesser goalkeeper than Ramsdale and concentrating a little bit more up top. You know, just going by that Man United game anyway. I mean, if they look real short up there.
One player that I was thought was a decent signing for them was Berrenton Diaz, a player who came in the Premier League. Came back in the Premier League in January from Villarreal. I think it was on loan. And looked good. I think he got about 6 goals in 12 games, 13 games, or something like that for Sheffield United. So I thought, for me, that was a good signing. But again, that's a player who you could take down into the Championship, and he was really smashed in the Championship. And he would probably deal with being in the Championship because you'd sell it to him, we'll be back in the Premier League next season. You'll be our top goal scorer. Look at our squad. We've built to go straight back up. And you can sell it to these sorts of players. So, look, I do worry about Southampton, but if they've not really spent too much, there's not too much of a worry. They've got those parachute payments. They'll be all right. Like I said, I feel like they're bought for this to come straight back up.
So, they definitely have.
Yeah.
They definitely. They're just going to get steamrolled all season. That's all I mean. Like, it's going to be a tough season, I think. For them.
You watch Ramsdale, his best game of the season against us.
Fair play to. Garth, a positive from the game. Marcus Rashford. I felt like he says he's being harshly judged in recent months. I thought in recent weeks, I felt like he was a target, an easy target for some people because some of the things he was doing okay, but some of them not so okay, and a much better performance the other day.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this is the thing. If you're a Marcus Rashford fan like me and you watch him, you understand. Like, to be fair, his game was pretty similar to what it is most weeks. It's just he scored this week as well. Like, and that's the problem when you're Marcus Rashford, and that's what I think why he thinks he's been unfairly criticised, which he's not. He may be getting some harsh vitriol from stupid people online saying stupid stuff, but the criticism is valid. He has been underperforming in a Man United shirt and an England shirt for I mean, if I'm being brutally honest, probably 18 months. You know what I mean? Like, I know Steve's been a big advocate of saying that like he ain't doing it, and I've got no argument. He hasn't been doing it, so I won't have that he's been unfairly criticised. You know, like, listen, people were going to be idiots online, so I'm sure he's got some abuse, but that ain't acceptable. But no, so yeah, it's a standard game for him. I just feel like I mean, what did Ten Hag was saying about the ketchup bowl? Now it's uncorked. I don't know. This is the problem. I hope it is.
He gets carried away tonight.
Yeah, but you see. I don't know. Marcus Rashford hasn't looked the same player, like I say, in 18 months. He really hasn't. He's a shell of the former self. I do think that his harshest critics, and I mean this, they don't really watch him week in, week out and understand what his job is to do. Seeing him just on a few clips here and there, you can definitely get a very bad impression of him. And I understand that. Like, there's no two ways about it, because his body language has been awful for 12, 18 months. His performances have been bad. So I can get the outside perspective of him. If Man United fans are turning on him, I've got a problem with that. I've got a big problem with that. Like, he gives everything he can. I wonder if he's just one of them players. He's been playing since he's 18. He's 27 now. Has the body given up? We've seen it so many times. You know, we've seen it so many times. So a better performance because he scored. But is Marcus Rashford back? I need 5 more games of him scoring at least in 3 of those before I start like saying we're going to see the 30 goal Marcus Rashford.
All right. And Steve, we can't let you come on without talking about North London derby. Very quickly, though, because we want to get on to the Premier League predictions.
Very quickly.
But Arsenal, without Declan Rice, without Martin Odegaard, quite an understrength squad, went to Tottenham, let Tottenham have possession, but still had a solid performance. Roper dope, some would say. They definitely broke that dope, didn't they?
It was shades of Ali Frazier 71.
Shades of Ali, rumbling in the jungle. Turmoil in the toilet, we should call it. But yeah, a great victory for Arsenal ahead of what's going to be another tough game away to Manchester City next week.
Yeah, we definitely needed the win. A lot of people, I think, a lot of people were making out the fact that we never had Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. Obviously, 2 massive players, and obviously a loss. But I said before the game, I wasn't making no excuses for those 2 players. Arsenal have now built a squad up now, and I felt personally, even with those players out, we should be still going to Tottenham and win that game. We're still the better team, by far, even without Rice and Odegaard. And we went there and won it. So we did our job. Arsenal, people said, we let them come at them. They come at us. We did do that. We played with them a little bit. But look, that's what Arsenal do when they play these clubs. That Arteta plays that way. Whether like Rice and Odegaard was there. I think if Rice and Odegaard was playing, they still would have played this same style against Tottenham. They did it last year when we beat them. We went 3-0 at half time. Tottenham had all the game. We let them come on to us. We hit them on the break. 1-2-3 was 3-0 up at half time. We did that at Man City. We played that way when we got a draw. We did it this season away to Villa. When we played the top teams, we just played differently. The good thing about Arsenal these days is that no matter who we play, it doesn't matter what type of system we play. We're coming away playing against the big teams and getting the results, which is great. But yeah, big match, great win. Gabriel, an absolute monster, fantastic performance from Gabriel. Raya in goal, unbelievable. But I mean, Garth sitting here, you know, he told us last season, I think, about, you know, Jurriën Timber, and it sounded like he knew about Jurriën Timber more than we did. But
unreal.
What a player!
And it's mate,
Where
what
is
a player!
he playing him?
Out of position, and he's looking great. He's looking great. He's looking great. I tell you what,
unreal
he's
performance.
He was so good, but you can still see there's so much more to come. Because it weren't like a performance.
No, I don't like this, lads. How
do I mute you? It weren't like a performance that
you called it.
We've seen in pre-season where he's been a bit more expansive, where he's been going forward and getting more into the opposition's box and being a nuisance around there. This is a very solid defensive performance. And just disciplined performance and just being there for the team and just being in there at the right moments. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
He did everything. He did everything. He did everything. It wasn't when it was on his right foot. He you know, he was good with that. He was good on the left foot. You know, he didn't invert it as much because we wasn't playing that type of way this time because we had pretty much 2 number 6s. So we didn't really need to do that inverted role. But when in getting forward, he was dangerous. He was tough. Do you know what I mean? He was letting people
as well.
He letting people know he was about Garth and
he's
do
good.
You know what I mean? And
what you just said is the best. One of his best things about is adaptability. Like obviously, I'd like to see him at right back, but he's equally good at left back. You're saying he can do when he's needed to do the inverted, he can do the inverted. When he's needed to do traditional wing back, he can do traditional wing back. He can play. He's really good at centre back as well, lads. Like no joke. He's decent at centre back. Like, you got yourself a player, and it makes me sick.
I think he's nailed on left back now, Garth. I think that's his position. That for Arsenal anyway. You know, he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna get past Ben White. Not that he couldn't. It's just that there's no reason to sort of get past Ben White.
Yeah,
to not drop Ben White. You know, I'm not saying he wouldn't be. He isn't a better right back. He may well be. It's, great.
You're building that squad as well, though, Steve. You know what I mean? Because Calafiori's not come to be a bench player at the end of the day.
Yeah,
no, he hasn't.
I mean, so you're building that rotation squad that every big team needs. You can't. Oh, God, it makes you sick again. You can't scoff it. You can't. You're buying players. Because in any given week, Timber can play right back. Ben White can have a rest. Calafiori can go to the left back, or Tommy Asso, is he still there? Whoever can come, you know what I mean?
Keep going, Garth. Keep going.
And
you've
seen with Mikel Arteta. No, we'll leave it there. He switches on us. And we've seen with Mikel Arteta that at any point, if you do drop in form, you'll be replaced. So Ben White will know that Jurriën Timber can play right back. He's a right back as well, and they know that he's got Jurriën Timber. He's got Tommy Asso on his back. If he drops in form, so he can't afford to. And yes, there's rotation. Yes, there's players, but this will be players are rotated or players are rested for a game, and they're saying I don't want to be rested because they're worried about not getting back into the team. Yeah. And I feel like we've seen that with the likes of Martinelli and Trossard as well. Martinelli being a little bit younger, I feel like if Martinelli was a bit more mature, he might be able to take this pressure a bit more. Right now, it looks like he's feeling that pressure from someone who's.
He was a bit better though, wasn't he?
I thought it was better.
He was better.
I was going to say the front three I thought were excellent defensively. That's why I'm not getting on to Martinelli about his performance yesterday, because I thought that yes, he was better going forward. He was much more of a threat than we've seen in recent weeks. There was no hiding from him at all. It was. When it came to dribbling and taking on players, he was so much better than we've seen for a long while. It was just his final decision or final ball that he should be crossing that ball to Saka all day long, and we're 1-0 up in the first half. Do you know what I mean? And Saka's putting that to Martinelli if it's the other way around.
Maybe that's because Sterling's now.
And I think it's all the above. I think it's the fact that you've got Sterling and Trossard there breathing down his neck, that he's seen the opportunity and thought, I'm going to try and put this in the back of the net here. Well, he's got to remember that a goal contribution is a goal contribution. It don't matter. And I know it looks nice to have a goal on another goal tally on your notch, but a goal contribution is there for the team. So if you set up Saka, that's equally as good as you scoring, mate. Like that's what you've got to remember as well. You're a winger. You're not a centre forward. You're a winger.
And missing is equally bad as well. The gaffer will take note. You keep missing them, you're going to be on the bench.
And especially when you make that bad decision. Like you opened up to shoot, he was too far out, and it was tamed. Like it wasn't whipped past the post, and it was close. It was unlucky. The keeper didn't have to make a great save. You put it into his hands, and the easier option was to pass to Saka earlier on. So that for me is you're overthinking things. He needs to get out of that. He needs a goal. He needs an assist. But I feel like it's coming. And it is a really good performance. Quickly before we move on to the predictions, Steve, this is always good to see, especially we've seen Heaven have a bit of a run out in pre-season. We've seen Lewis Skelly get a run out, but we saw Ethan Wanyeri come on the other day for the final 10-15. And there was glimpses of that stardom that people were spoken about, a nice little drop of the shoulder, which left two people standing, which I think surprised himself. And he was left in acres of space and again made the wrong decision. But I'm not going to get onto a 17-year-old in the North London derby. I just think it was good to see him looking so comfortable on the ball and actually wanting it. And one thing I did notice about him, he managed to find space, which is a really good attribute to have for such a young player.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I mean, Arteta must have. I think we've said for a long while now. We'll know, if the manager plays him or brings him on in big games, if he's ready or not. So, with Arteta bringing him on in the North London derby, he obviously thinks he's, he is ready. Although he was a little bit short because of injuries, bench wise. He looks good. He's special, isn't he? We have said that, to get in this Arsenal team, I think everyone would agree, you have to be special, especially if you're only 17. But he came into the side against Tottenham, so he wasn't in long, but what he did, he did well. As you say, the drop of the shoulder, he looked confident, and 17 years old, and you think, wow, I just want to see more of him now, but again, let's not get too carried away. Arteta are playing when he feels that, the time's right. But, he came on with virtually the same time as Sterling and Jesus, and he was the one that, impressed the most out of the three. So, brilliant. I mean, I can't wait to see him again. Definitely a special talent.
All right. Well, let's get on to the Premier League predictions now. We've seen, as I said, we've seen 4 games so far, so it should get you a little bit of an inkling to what we may see for the rest of the season. We've seen Manchester City storming ahead already. Teams like Brighton are looking good, are looking sharp, and at the other end of the table, Southampton looking like they could be one of the teams that go straight back down. I pulled out the tier list. We don't need to go into too much detail, but we're going to pick the champions, the Champions League spots, Europa League spots, and the Europa Conference spots, and then the 18th to 20th, the final spots there. So, Steve, who do you think will be relegated? We'll ask you relegation first. Let's say the best to last, Say the best to last. We've seen some teams already. Teams that could be in trouble. Everton, a team that could be in trouble this season. Southampton down there looking like they could be going straight back down. Leicester City managed to get themselves some points this weekend. And Ipswich also already got themselves some points, but might not have enough towards the end of the season. Let's pull up the Premier League table here as well. So, Steve, who do you think could be the teams that could potentially be going down?
As I say, it's 4 games in, so it's very difficult. So, but going by what I've seen at this moment in time, although there is part of me that's looking ahead and think, well, it might change if this so-and-so play its form, blah blah blah. But my relegation 3 would be Ipswich, Southampton. And from what I've seen up to yet, I quite like Leicester.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed watching them play.
Mm-hmm.
They've not pulled up trees, but
But they've got experience in there. They've been in the
Yeah,
Premier League before. Vardy scoring
exactly,
again this
yeah.
weekend.
Well, that's what I was going to say, mate. They've got the guy up top, you know, Vardy. They've got players like Patson Daka, you know, who's still there, and they've also got the experience from the Premier League before. So I'm at this stage. I'm going to say Leicester are going to be the one team that beats the drop. And looking at the others, Forest, you know, always, but they've obviously at the moment looking quite good. I'm gonna go Wolves.
Oh, Wolves currently sitting at 18th in the league. Only one draw so far this season. 3 losses, a big loss to Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lose to Chelsea 6-2, there's some serious issues.
Yeah, and
Although
again, like the
Chelsea
weekend as well, they didn't look great to me as either the weekend against Newcastle. Yeah, they look. I think they'll struggle, which would be sad because Gary O'Neill always plays some decent football. As I said, some of their players at form, you know, that might change in January if we have a redo and do this again. Do you know what I mean? Which we normally do. But at this stage, mate, I think Wolves look like they could be in trouble. Everton, I think it'd be all right. But
anyone in that, I think Garth, we gave Wolves the worst team in the transfer market.
We said
this
that.
season.
Yeah.
They've bought awfully. I think they bought about 3 or 4 players, and no one even knows who they are. They don't. Then they're from like average teams in like the Portuguese league and things like that, and they're not pulling out any Pedro Netos this time.
And they lost him, haven't they, as well? So
big losses. I think that they've been trying to recoup money for the last few seasons, haven't they? And they've. I think this season was where they lost some big players. Anyone from Ipswich which you've been impressed with? I like the look of Amari Hutchison in the first few games. He looked pretty sharp on the weekend as well.
Yeah, I can't say like I've sort of any particular games. I think the main reason I think that, you know, Ipswich will survive is basically down to their manager. I think he's a really good manager. I think he's got the nous to keep them up. And they put
Cooper, Leicester,
and McKenna. Is it McKenna?
Oh, Kieran McKenna from Ipswich.
Yeah. I think he's a good manager, and they've got the majority of the team that they had from when they came up. And sort of, I haven't seen much of them this season, but going off the back of him, McKenna, and the back of the bits and pieces that I see of Ipswich last season, I think I thought at the right when they come up that they would do well. So I'm going to stick with that at the minute. So
yeah, I think we said that Ipswich have bought to go back down and come straight back up, and Southampton and Wolves have been the worst transfer window out of the whole Premier League. So I mean, that says a lot there for the teams you've picked. Garth, now on to you. Who have your 3 teams that you've put down to be relegated?
Going on what I've witnessed from the teams currently, I'm going for the 3 that are in there: Everton, Southampton, Wolves. I think Wolves are definitely going down. I agree with Steve. I agree with what we said last week or the week before. Sorry, Kit, their team's just awful. I think Southampton's team is awful, and Everton, I just don't see where that team finds the spark from. I just don't see it. Already 4 games in, no points, rock bottom of the league. Yeah, if we're going on right now, then I'm going with the 3 that we've already got down there. Exactly in that order as well. Wolves, Southampton, Everton. I see Everton coming rock bottom. Like
that'd be a disaster, wouldn't it? If Everton go down, moving to the new ground.
It'll be them done because I won't be able to pay for the ground. Like it'll be big trouble for them. It'll be big trouble for them. But look at their squad, man. Like really think about this. Well, they're still banking on Dominic Calvin-Lewin to do the business for them. They're still banking on Ashley Young to slot in at right back for it.
But 38 years of age, isn't he?
Older. He's our age, bruv. I think he's 40 this year.
All right, slow down, mate. Slow.
So I just think they're in big trouble. I think it's tight though because Ipswich, I can't see Palace being in trouble looking at what's there at their own. I agree still can't see Leicester being in trouble. So it's only really Ipswich after. I don't see Forest being in trouble after the start they've had if we're just going on what we've seen so far. So it's only really one of 4 teams I see going down this year. That being the 3 already there and then Ipswich. So the bottom 4 at the moment, basically. And I just don't think Everton have got it. So, but yeah, 3 of those 4 are definitely going down in my book.
Yeah, I think I agree with Garth. I think Ipswich could be lucky that they've got possibly the worst Everton team we've seen in a good few years. I think that last season galvanised the squad with their points deduction, which then pulled them together and had that the world is against us sort of mentality. And this season they haven't got it. There's this zero bite. As you said, relying on Dominic Calvert-Lewin to be your main goal scorer. He could get 15 goals in a season, but will he play the whole season? His injury record's awful. Which has surprised me that there was some big teams looking at him this season. It feels like there's a lack of options up top.
That just shows you how bad the lack of options of guaranteed Premier League 10 goals a season Premier League strikers there are. If willing to go for Calvert-Lewin, because he'll get you the goals, but like you just said, he'll be down half the season as well. You can't rely on him.
They'll lose some big players though as well, wouldn't they? If they go down, you got Jordan Pickford. Do you know what I mean? Goal. You got like Jared Braithwaite, Nick McNeil as well. You know, and as you've already mentioned there, Calvert-Lewin as well. So if they go down, I can't see them coming back because I think them players will be gone.
Yeah,
they've got a good enough squad to bounce back, I think. But again,
if they keep them,
they
can keep them. Do you know what I mean?
Them players, though, apart from Braithwaite, if I was Everton, I might want to see them players leave anyway if we get relegated. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that we can start fresh, get these big earners off the books.
I think there's a little bit of that. When you look at it, you've got Idrissa Gueye, who could have come back from Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, didn't he? James Tarkowski, who would have signed a decent contract coming in from Burnley on a free transfer. Seamus Coleman's probably at the end. Mykolenko, he's probably going to be in a decent wage. Would he go down to the Championship? Probably. You'd be able to keep him. Jack Harrison, you'd probably want to get off because people will be looking to buy him. Michael Keane, you might be able to keep hold of. But there's some big earners. Ashley Young, would he go? Would you want him in the Championship? I doubt it.
They'd be flirting for a few seasons now, though, wouldn't they?
I worry about Everton coming back up. With with the big the change in the stadium. It could just be a case of bad timing. With a stadium like that, you want to be bringing in some decent players to put on that billboard to bring in the fans and the new fans. The last thing you want to do is get a new stadium and be in the Championship.
They remind me a bit like Leeds. Do you know when Leeds went down?
A little bit.
I think Leeds were better.
They were better.
You know, they had better players. But once they went down, they was in trouble.
Yeah, Leeds got to the Champions League, didn't they? So, and then got silly and went out and started buying Seth Johnson for $7 million.
That seems like nothing money nowadays. But they were paying him something like 40 grand a week when everyone was getting paid like 12.
Yeah,
it was Seth Johnson, weren't it? It was Seth Johnson's name. Yeah, $7 million back then. $7 million for a player of his caliber was like. It's mind blowing money. It was mind blowing money.
Especially when he went into the meeting, and this was the story that he said. He went to the meeting, and Peter Riesdale was like 23 grand a week, and he was like, whew. Like as in because he's come from Derby on like 2 grand a week, and he's like, whew. Yeah. And Peter Riesdale has taken that as a what? Are you joking? And he's immediately gone 40 grand a week.
It's not easy to come back up. It's not easy to come. I mean, look at Luton this year. I mean, they're like
Newcastle, West Ham, Leeds. They all took Southampton. All these clubs, Villa. They all took more than one. If you don't come back that first season, it's known that it's problematic to come back after that. So yeah, these teams need to worry, and I do seriously worry about Everton. Ipswich could be one of those lucky teams that have got just this season Everton a terrible form. Onto the Conference League, 7th spot, Steve. Who have you got down as your team that gets that lucky Conference League spot?
Lucky Conference League spot.
I don't even know how it works. I think the next game in the Conference League is like October, like start of October in it, and then how's it work? Was it his team's got to drop into the Europa League? Teams for the teams from the Conference League get into the
I'm guessing so.
Some keys in a bowl sign rubbish. Like I don't know how it works.
Probably at this moment in time, Newcastle. Probably Newcastle. The way at the minute, the way they've started the season. I don't think they're going to obviously stay where they are, but I think they've started well. You know, they got 10 points out of 4 games. You know, they just got Tonali back. You know, they look decent at the moment. Obviously, they're not going to pull up trees. They're not going to get Champions League for me. I don't think they'll get Europa League. I mean, Isak's a bit of a worry for him at the minute because he's just got an injury. But Harvey Barnes, I mean, you know, he's like playing really well at the moment. Scored a couple of goals already. So yeah, I think Conference League at the minute. Yeah, it's difficult at the minute because a lot of it's toss of a coin because a lot of the squads up around that sort of area are very similar. It's about players sort of hitting form, which ones will and which ones won't. But yeah, at this point in time, I'm going to go Newcastle.
Newcastle in that 7th spot. Harvey Barnes seemed like one of those players that Man United would buy. Just like
you'd
be surprised that he bought him, but then when you look at it, you're like, no, actually, pacey, direct, to score goals, gets assists. Like keeps this game very simple. Very good player. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a move in the next few seasons to another, maybe a step up, depending on how.
It's the money you've got to spend on these players now. This is what I was saying about Eze. But there's a load of clubs that would like Eze, but at 65 mil, there's not enough clubs that need Eze, and it's the same. It's the same with Harvey Barnes. Like, who needs that player at the moment? It's going to cost you 55, 60 mil. Like when you go out to Portugal and pick up Marcus Edwards for 30. You know, I mean, like it's just so expensive to get them English players from these clubs now.
It's the thing is, the thing is, you can get these players, you can get the Harvey Barnes because Harvey Barnes was a known good up and coming youngster. Leicester bought him for 1.5 mil, but are you going to be able to develop him in the same way that Leicester have, where he's been able to play 20 to 30 games a season?
Yeah.
So then he becomes that 35 mil player. And clubs like Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, well, forget Chelsea because they're actually doing that, but they're not actually developing. And Man City can't really, they're willing to let another club do that and then pay the 40 million, pay the 50 million because they're ready then. They haven't got time to do that development because they've got to try and push for these leagues. So it is a tough one. But I think you're going to see more clubs potentially take that risk and try and nurture these players a bit earlier on because it's just not feasible to keep up with these cost of living, should we say. Garth, who have you got in that 7th spot? That you
Manchester United. I have got in this. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing this on what I've seen from 4 games. Like I'm not trying to predict the future here. What I've seen from 4 games, Man United are in terrible shape yet again. We'll maybe in a couple of games time, comes back, Højlund comes back. We've got a bit more of a central spine to our team. Maybe I'll change my opinion. But from what I've seen so far, 7th and lucky to be there.
Oh, okay. So lucky to be in 7th. Now for the Europa League spots, 5th and 6th, Steve. Let's pull up the Premier League table here. Who have you got in that 5th and 6th spot so far? We currently got Brighton, who's looking good this season. Aston Villa, again, still looking sharp. Liverpool back in there with Arne Slot, although they did lose to Nottingham Forest this weekend, and Newcastle sitting in 3rd. But you've got them in 8th. Who have you got in that Europa League spots?
6th place, Manchester United, from what I've seen at the moment. I can see why Garth said 7 up to yet, but I just feel over the season they've got a better team and a better squad than probably what Newcastle have overall.
Do you think Ten Hag lasts the season?
No.
And do you see a Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in and taking his spot, or do you see him going out and getting another manager?
Yeah, I think Ruud will take over. You know, he's been given the job as assistant manager.
Yeah, he was a former manager.
You know, for a reason. Yeah. You know, from what I've been told. But look, they may change his mind. Ten Hag is. I mean, I think Garth's on the same page now. I think most Man United fans are on the same page. He's not going to take Manchester United to where they they want to be. Man United should be at the very least challenging for titles every season. And I think there's no way he's gonna do that. I think, not being harsh, I've often said on the air, I feel sorry for Ten Hag and I want to like him, but he does come up with some weird stuff. And yeah, I think, again, not being harsh, I think he's possibly been found out. He had a very good season, and the first season, was that like just one of them fluky seasons under Ten Hag? I don't know. But I still think if there was another manager, he would get better out of the players than what he has. I think Ten Hag's just a very good Eredivisie manager from what I've seen, because I can't see very much style of play from him. His signings hasn't been great.
I thought this was league predictions. What's going on here?
I was asked the question.
5 minutes. Ten Hag's an absolute douchebag, Ren. What is going on? My word.
No, I know you agree about the manager, so that's why I'm. I know what page you're on. I know what page you're on, but he's not. But that's what he is. That's my genuine feel. I feel that he's just an Eredivisie manager who can win that. I don't see him taking Manchester United. Man United are the biggest club in the world. Let's get it right. Without the banter.
Yeah.
Right. Forget the banter now. Man United are the biggest club in the world. Right. He is not a Man United manager. I'm sorry. He needs to go.
Do you think he lasts to the end? And it's by the end of it, he needs to go. He needs to go.
He does. He does.
No, look, I agree. I think I said it to Garth many a time that it was a game last season where Man United was getting pummeled and he had no answers and he was standing in the dugout and he looked small. And this had nothing to do with his physical presence. He looked small. He looked like he'd sunken within himself. His head, he was hunched over, and it was just like, just pick this man up and drop him outside the stadium because he does not need to be there. He does not want to be there.
Yeah, and I think Rude's a present, isn't he? He's a legend of the club.
I don't want Rude, man.
Yeah, I know why you don't want him, mate. I do know why.
But Garth, we saw
because he's a legend there, and you don't want him.
We saw Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, didn't we?
Look at Garth. Solskjaer left crying, literally, like not figuratively, literally slumped in a chair crying about how his time as manager of Man United was. So I don't want that for Rude.
No,
I don't think he's a good manager. I don't think that just because he's had one season with PSV Eindhoven, it doesn't qualify him to come in and be Man United manager. I don't think Dutch managers work in the Premier League. I don't want Rude in. Yeah, I don't want him as our manager. I'm pretty sure you're right, Steve. It's set up for that. That's clearly what it's set up for. But I really, because it's not just Rude, is it? Like we took Lillestrøm's manager, we took Go Ahead Eagles manager. Like there's 4 or 5 managers in that backroom staff now.
Yeah,
like, we saw in the summer there was a lot of rumors for being Man United looking for a different manager. They've obviously been speaking to different managers, and then we saw a shift in Man United going for managers as their assistants, like Gary O'Neill, Rui Vista. Do you think they changed their stance and thought, okay, we need someone who could step in if we do get rid of Ten Hag, who's got the experience of being an actual manager, and also with that manager in the backroom staff, we've got someone who's going to bring a different level of experience as well.
Yeah, I agree with Steve. I think like everything Steve was saying, like, I do think Rude is set up to be the next man coming in. I just personally don't want it. I don't want to see Rude come in. The club's a mess. Like it needs a stern. I don't know what it needs. But anyway, it's a conversation for a different day. But personally, if Ten Hag goes, I'd like to see Rude like think to himself, "Don't ego challenge it, mate. You haven't got it. Just walk away. Walk away from it while you've got the chance."
Arsenal were the same, wasn't they? When like Emery we knew he was going to go, and a lot of people.
And they got in Ljungberg. But Ljungberg looked at him and was like, "Nah, mate." Nah.
Yeah, no, but before that, everybody was saying, "I'll bring Henry in." Do you remember? Weren't they? They were bringing Henry and Bergkamp in. Bergkamp was a coach. They were saying, "I'll bring him," and similar to Garth, who was all going, no, we don't want them. We don't want the crowd on their backs. So it's a similar thing with Manchester United. It's funny because when people said,
"Oh, it's an hour. It's an hour."
Yeah, it's
50p in the meter.
Steve, you definitely got one of them old meters, didn't you? Steve, in future, stick an extra 50p in the meter, mate.
It's always at 9 o'clock.
Extra 20 minutes.
No, just quickly. It was funny that when Arteta was manager, they was like, "Oh yeah, we'll have him." In other words, probably once he sort of cocks it all up, we can all slag him off, type of thing. But yeah, it's funny how they change. But I can see Garth's point. Why they wouldn't want Ruud to be
especially when
they've
seen such a legend of the club already. Leave his name slightly tarnished.
Yeah. Back to predictions.
Yeah, who have you got?
Did I say my? Soon as I said Man United.
You didn't say your 50, did you?
No, you never give me the chance. You never give me the chance.
I gave you the chance. You ended up for 45 minutes.
I said Manchester United.
I said, do you think Ten Hag will win the last season? That was it.
Yes,
it's time to go.
Chelsea.
Yeah, there you go. Chelsea in at that 5th spot. Man United in at 6th. Garth, who have you got in your 5th and 6th spot?
I've got Newcastle and Chelsea.
Yeah, pretty similar, Garth, so far.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty similar. I would have thought. I would have thought it's going to be pretty similar until right at the end, Steve. Because you've got hope, mate, and I have none left. So. Yeah.
Oh God! And Chelsea, Garth, you've seen something in Chelsea. It's a team that's a bit more together, although their starts to the season's been again very not stop-start. It's probably harsh. A loss to Man City, a win against Wolves, but then a draw against Crystal Palace, and then a win this week. Do you think that's what Chelsea's season's going to go like?
Yeah. Listen, 6-2, yeah, fair enough. But apart from that, they haven't looked convincing. Same as Newcastle, just haven't looked convincing yet. I think Chelsea will push for the top 4. I think it's what I said. They've just got so many good players that you're going to get performances out of that team, no matter who's like. So, yeah, I'm in line between Villa and Chelsea for 4th spot. But yeah, I'm going to go with. I've changed it. I'm going Newcastle, Villa, Europa League. Chelsea are taking the 4th spot. Yeah. I'm in line about it. This is just told me what we're doing today. It's tight. But with Villa in Champions League football for the first time in a long time, that may knock them back down to Europa. So your Newcastle, Villa in Europa.
The Champions League's it's a different animal. We saw
it takes out.
It does. Even though Unai Emery's a master when it comes to the Europa League, Aston Villa didn't conquer it like people expected, especially because they've done so well in the Premier League. I would have thought they would have done a little bit better in the Europa League, and it just weren't quite there because, again, it's a competition they've not been in a long while. So you can't just get back into it and hit the ground running. It's very, very rarely that happens. So, yeah, I think you could be right there. Might be a little bit too much for Aston Villa. Steve, who have you got in your 4th to 2nd spot? Drum roll on the 2nd spot as well.
Yeah. Fourth place, Aston Villa.
Aston Villa in 4th.
Yeah. No bets on what these 3 is going to be, do you? Right. 3rd place, Liverpool. And 2nd place,
Liverpool.
And 2nd place, I've got to back them, boys, and Man City.
It's got for Man City in 2nd place, even with their 30-point deduction, probably.
yeah. That's a good point. No, Garth, I don't know, it was Garth you made with the Aston Villa and the Champions League thing. Yeah, it made me think now. Should I put Chelsea and Villa? But I'll stick with Villa for now anyway.
And Garth, who have you got in your 4th to 2nd spot?
It's I've written it down. I just said it. So yeah, I've changed it now. It's Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, and I do. It is a big deal. I tell you, lads, I'm not just saying this to wind you up. I think if you lose to City at the weekends, I wonder how your season goes. I really do. 5 points behind, 5 games in. Like, I just wonder whether
a psychological blow.
Psychological blow. It is. And I know some people don't. Some people poo-poo it, but I've seen it in football teams. You're so good. You should. Like, there's no reason you can't win the league. But Man City just. I mean, we'll get into it in a second. They just look so incredible, and then to be 5 points behind that early. If you win, my entire thing changes. And so that's how important these games are now, people.
It's
like,
crazy,
weird to say
isn't it?
This early in the season. Yeah.
I've already said it.
Sorry.
If you said it on the other show,
there you go.
It feels like already it's not the season's over because you can't think like that because
no, it's not. It's not.
Towards the end of the season, you're kicking yourself because you felt like it was over and you kind of gave up and you can't think like that. You've got to go until the last game of the season. But it is very much like that. The draw to Brighton felt like a loss. It did feel like.
Of course, it did.
How do we regain the points when we've dropped points at home to Brighton? Where did Man City, in their form, drop off? Who do they drop off points to? The only one we can guarantee that they could drop points to is us. We're the only ones that we can guarantee we take points off Man City. We can't say that Liverpool are going to do it. We can't say that anyone. It's only down to us. And if you're saying that we had to beat Man City twice this season to win the league and then potentially win 95% of the rest of our games, it's mental. It's mental. So look,
the other way you got to look at it as well. It's not just that. It's if you lose to them, you've now got no mistakes left. Because if you lose again and they win, then that 8 points clear, and that is basically over when you're talking about Man City, unless they go on a bad run. So you've then got to be perfect after that. So like, it's so ridiculous for that Man City team now. It's like I've watched 3 of their games this season, and it's been like a juggernaut. Like, they're unstoppable, man.
Honestly, the weirdest thing is that... Go on.
No, so I hope you boys win on Sunday. Sorry, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I thought there's going to be a little bit of a drop off from Man City, but I feel like they've come back stronger. With like 0 bias, they look like they've come back stronger. I feel like Haaland's taken the criticism that he got last season, even though he's still bagged. I think probably still top goal scorer.
Yeah, he got golden boot.
He got golden boot. Missed out on 12 games in the Premier League. Got a lot of criticism because people felt that this was a chance to sort of dig him out about how he's played, his gameplay, and all this. And he's taken that personally. As I said, these youngsters are very aware of what the sort of the temper is out in the world. They know what people are talking about. They know what the socials are saying. So they would have heard, you play like a League 2 player outside the box. You do this, you do that. He's not got as much as game against so-and-so and so-and-so. You just feel like Haaland's one of them players that will say, all right, I'll show you. His finish has been impeccable. Like,
what's he got? 9 in 4 already.
9 in 4.
Is it 9 in 4 already?
Mate, if he stays at City for the next 4 or 5 seasons, he smashes Alan Shearer's record.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous.
Do you know, I was about to say I've done about 4 or 5, but like 260 is his record, isn't it? Like 4 or 5, he has the seasons he's having in 4 or 5 years. He could get there. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Steve, your champions, Arsenal. Yeah. It's not going to be an elite schmucks. It's not going to be Tottenham, is it?
Tell me it's Fulham. Just out of
Arsenal.
Yeah.
In as champions. What makes you feel like Arsenal could be champions this season? After they're missing out on previous seasons, you've seen how strong Man City have been so far. Drop points at home to Brighton.
Yeah. I couldn't disagree with you more, both of you. Everything you've just said then.
Elaborate.
Look, we know what Man City are, don't we? Do you know what I mean? We know what they are. We know what type of team we are. We know what they can do. But look, I've watched them this season. I've been impressed. I've been impressed by Haaland. You know, you can't not be impressed by Haaland. But I didn't see the Chelsea game, so I have to put my hold up. Apparently, they played quite well. You know,
they did. I mean, it was what's the word? A solid
Professional.
performance, a professional performance. That's the word.
Yeah,
word
yeah.
well said, yeah.
But then they beat Ipswich 4-1. Well, probably everybody's going to beat, top team's going to beat Ipswich 4-1. So there was not really anything to harp home about there. Then I watched them against West Ham.
West Ham.
And they look, going to West Ham's a good result, but West Ham had better strikers. They could have got 2 or 3 goals in that second half. I was watching it with the family, and we was like, we're going to score in a minute. West Ham going to score in a minute. They got to score, and then Man City went up the other end and scored a goal, and that was that. And it was like,
Does that not impress you, say, Steve? Though? That's what I'm talking about. Because you say
West Ham didn't play well. They never played well. They didn't look good. They was rattled. They was rattled.
Man City against West Ham. Well, I didn't see that. Man City against West Ham could have scored 5 or 6. Like Haaland missed a couple of big chances.
Yeah,
like,
but it's always Haaland, isn't it?
You haven't got a second gear yet, Steve.
It's always. Well, I disagree.
Fair play. Yeah, no, fair play, man.
But Brentford, they wasn't good against Brentford. They was. I was watching the Soccer Saturday, and all I could see people saying, "Oh, City second half. Brentford have had chances. City have had chances. It's been sort of a bit back and forth. You know, when Brentford come forward, they even look like scoring, but City got the job done." And all I'm hearing is like this juggernaut. Look, we know what they are, but Arsenal have had a much harder start to the season than what Man City have had. You know, we've had to go away to Villa, we've had to go away to Spurs, and now we've got to go away to Man City.
So ultimately, they got points to Brighton.
Yeah, but we had 10
and that's but that doesn't matter. Don't look at the end of the season. We go that's against 10 men.
Yeah,
it's the points, especially at home, and it weren't our fault. Look, we have pushed on more when we had 10 players? Probably yes. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but
no, I don't think we could have pushed on.
But ultimately, we've dropped points to a team which Man City won't be dropping points to at home or away.
But they have. I don't think. Look, as an Arsenal fan, right, I'm not going to. I know their strengths. I know what they can do if they hit it. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. For me, Haaland better keep scoring, right? Because last year they had Alvarez, right? So if he's out for another 4, 5, 6 weeks, right, who's going to score their goals? No, I can't see. De Bruyne came in. He was injured for 3 months last season. He came in. He smashed it. Fair enough. Yeah. De Bruyne's 33, 34 this year coming up. Walker's not the same player he was. Is Doku that great? I don't rate Doku. You know,
see, my opinion, Doku's gone up quite a lot recently.
But they're not. We're comparing with Arsenal now, right? We're comparing with with Arsenal. They've got the young kid on the right. We still unknown quantity. We don't know what he's going to do. And really, Man City ain't played anybody. So I'm looking at it from an Arsenal fan's point of view. I'm looking at it from the positives from what Arsenal have done. We've bought well in the window. City haven't really done nothing. So you say, if anybody's strengthened and got better, we have. Right? We've bought more players. City haven't bought anyone. They've just bought in the young kid. I've not been that impressed. Saying that, it's City. They got Haaland. He's a freak. Right? I'm just not in this boat of, I certainly don't agree that if City beat us next week, it's over. I've been watching football for too long to think that after 5 games, the league's over. And the fact that I think Man City are not as good as they was last season, if they go on and do it again, right, fair play to them. But for me, they're not as strong as last season. They're weaker. They're weaker because De Bruyne's a year older. They're weaker because Walker seems to be on his way out. They're weaker because now they've sold Alvarez. And I just don't think they've been that great. They've got the job done because of Haaland. That's why I think Arsenal win it. If we have the same type of season as last year, we'll win it because of those points.
So next week, is it a must win or is it a must not lose?
It's not a must. We will, if we lose, it's not, the end of the world. No, it's not. Well, after what was it? What would it be? 4?
No,
5,
I don't think Garth was saying it's over. But I think he's saying what he's saying. It's a massive psychological blow for Arsenal if they're 5 points behind with this Man City team.
It depends. It depends how it will affect them. But haven't we seen Arsenal over the last couple of years that when we've got beat that it's not affected us now? It don't affect us. You know, when we get beat, does it bother us? Does it affect us when we go away? Oh, they've got Villa next week. Oh, they've got to go away to Spurs. Oh, we've got to go to Man United. All that dodgy game might affect them. Does it affect them? No, don't. They just go and win again, don't they? Just like Arteta don't let them. They're like mentality monsters now, isn't they? They just don't. They've got this bit between the teeth. It's not like the old Arsenal where they thought, oh, you know, we hit them up in the air. You know, they're a bit weak. Their mentality. I've not in 2 years. I haven't seen that. We've lost. Oh, now we've got our heads going to drop. I haven't seen over 2 years Arsenal's head drop when we've lose. We've just picked it up the next game and it's not bothered us. So, based on all that, yeah, look, like I said, De Bruyne might have another fantastic season again at 34 and Walker might become prime again. He might be brilliant. Haaland might stay fit and break all records. But there's a lot of things that you can look at between Man City and think, look, if it goes that way, then Arsenal can pants.
I agree with some points. Those Man
City. There's a lot of points there. There's a lot.
I can't.
You need it's Erling Haaland to break down and not play for half the season. De Bruyne to not play really good for a year.
I think if we go back to Man City and their starts to the season, they're very well renowned for not having the best starts to the season. In general, they usually drop points at the season. They haven't dropped any yet. Even last season, they got a last-minute goal to beat Sheffield United within in the third game of the season. They funny enough beat West Ham as well in the fourth or fifth game of the season. It seems like go on.
I was going to just clarify what Juggernaut means as well. Sorry, I didn't realize you were still going. Finish off, man. Sorry, Rob.
No, I was just saying. Although they may not be hitting all the markers, from what I'm seeing, they're just chewing through teams. They're stepping up when they need to, and right now it doesn't look like they've needed to really step it up. I think the true marker of what their season's like will be next week against Arsenal at home. If you're going to be taking on the team that's your biggest rivals at home, we'll see what they're about against a tough team. Us, Liverpool, and yeah, probably about it, to be honest. But we'll see. We're seeing. Yeah. That's not to any sort of slight on anyone else.
Not even if
these are the teams that are too closest to them.
Even Arsenal lose. Even if Arsenal lose next week, it's. Do you know what I mean? People, it's not going to be no big shock, is it? Do you know what I mean? If City beat Arsenal at their home pitch, do you know what I mean? If City beat Real Madrid, next week, would it be a big?
It's not the shock, man. It's not the shock. It's the fact that after 5 games already, you're 5 points behind. And this is what I'm about to say about Keir. What I mean by juggernaut isn't that they're playing magnificent football and winning at Cantor. It's that they're not even out of second gear, man. And like Keir said, they're chewing through teams. Put it this way, as an Arsenal fan, if you'd gone first 4, you said they've got an easy start. If you'd gone first 4 games of the season away at West Ham and away at Chelsea and got wins in both them games, you're saying you've had a good start to the season.
Yeah,
I think Arsenal have had a better start. I know we had the draw against Brighton, which was unfortunate.
Factually, you haven't had the better start because they're on 12 points.
But we've gone away to Villa, we've gone away to Spurs. What
they've gone away to Chelsea.
That's big. But Spurs is our London rivals in North London. Villa are better than Chelsea.
Yeah, I know, but going off of what Garth said there, we dropped points to West Ham last season, and we dropped points to Chelsea last season away from home. We got a 2-2 draw at Chelsea, and we dropped points to West Ham. We lost to West Ham, so I completely understand what you're saying, but it's about points on the board. We can talk about the teams and who they've beaten, but it's about points on the board, and especially against this Manchester City team. We can't even afford to be looking ahead to who's they're playing, when we're playing.
So what we're saying, the way the games have turned out, that we're just it's the luck of the draw that you're saying that we could, have lost the title already because of the luck of the draw.
Not lost the title, man. Not lost the title. No. Put it this way, you can have the reverse of the psychological blow I'm talking about. If you beat Man City at the Etihad on next Sunday, that psychological lift. I think you do need to beat them to win the title generally. Period. No matter when you play them in the season.
You don't think a draw is a good result?
I think a draw is a good result.
Did you get a draw against them last year at their ground?
Yeah, but it was a different time of the season. It was the other end of the season.
I honestly think you've got to beat them 6 points. I think you have to take 6 points off Man City to beat whoever you're talking about to beat the title off them. I really think you've got to take 6.
Said that, to be honest. To be fair, you're not the only one that says it. I slightly disagree. I think if we get a point, I think that's a good point away from Man City.
I just think it's true. I think it's silly to say after 5 games you're 5 points out. It's over. I've seen Arsenal fans say it.
No, it's not over. Sorry. It's a
I've seen Arsenal fans. I've seen Arsenal fans on podcasts. Say last week. We drew against Brighton. Oh, that's it. We're finished. Yeah. That's it. It's all over.
Yeah, it's not over. It's just now a little bit tougher, isn't it? That's all it is. It's just there's now a psychological block in front of you, and that's what I mean. Those things start coming in last minute against Fulham. You know that you can't lose this game. You're 1-0. You have a shaky leg because you're thinking about that, and Fulham run through and score. It's those little moments that add up. That's all I mean. I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things that they're 5 points cleared this early. But it's those little moments, those little psychological 1%, 2%, they do affect you at the end of the day. But like I said, on the flip of that, Steve, if you beat Man City, and not just beat Man City, put in a performance where it's like Man City were never even in contention in this game.
Like we did last year,
That but did you win as well?
No, you're saying away at home we did.
But you win as well. That takes you on for a few more games. You've got that in the bank now. That you can beat Man City whenever you need to. And
I agree with that. I think if we beat Man City next week, I think
I don't think that means anything. I don't think it means anything.
No, but not on the table.
Even if we win,
we're joint on points. But as for the team to win without Martin Ødegaard next week, I think will be a massive boost. A massive boost.
Definitely.
Obviously, you're taking on Man City, and it's not going to concern them too much because they'd still be level on points. They've been here before.
My thing is just that you've got the 2 best teams in the country playing each other. This time it's at the Etihad. Is it going to be a draw? Is it going to win? It could be anything, couldn't it? Do you know what I mean? It could be anything. City is going to be favourites. So, after 5 games, if they're 5 points in front of us, I think Arsenal's next 3 games are Leicester, Bournemouth, and some other tosh, Southampton, I think. So after that, we could be, City might have drawn. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
you're looking at the table too much, Steve. I'm not talking about
I'm not.
You're finishing who you're playing. It's just it will have listen. If you honestly don't believe that it will have an effect on any, I'm not just saying Arsenal, but any players, that 5 games in, you're now 5 points behind your title challengers. That early, I'm sorry, we completely disagree, definitely, because those things.
My point is, we've been 5 points behind before.
And did you win the league?
No, but we've gone past them, right, and taken and gone and they've dropped points when they've been better than this. Right, because they're not as good as they was last year or 2 years ago. I don't think, anyway. Right, so
we disagree on that, definitely.
What they're better now than they was 2 years ago.
Oh, last year, 2 years, maybe. I think they're pretty much
better now. They're better now than last year. Really?
I wouldn't say they're better. They're not worse, though. They're not worse, which is the way.
No, at the end of the day, they're Man City. As I said said at the beginning, they can go and win the league by 100 points again. We don't know. I'm just saying, they've been Man City have been 5 points ahead of Arsenal before, and when Arsenal have been 5 points behind, we have won those points back and gone ahead of them and gone 8 points clear in front of them. Yes, fair dues. City have come back again, but Arsenal are a different kettle of fish now. Right? I think so. It's all just too early for me. If they do win and they're 5 points, I can't. They're just the way Arsenal have played over the last couple of years, the way the mentality. Yeah, look, I just don't think it's be over if it's 5 points. Obviously,
you need to move off the over. You should have just said psychological blow, Garth. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over.
No.
I think it's a massive psychological blow. I think that's what Garth was getting to. Garth, who have you got? You've got Manchester City as champions, obviously.
Crystal Palace.
Oh, Where are they in the league?
I mean, they're
17th in the league at the moment. What a turnaround.
Gonna do Leicester.
Man City for me. I mean, this is the me and Steve. We disagree a lot, but we can completely disagree on this. I don't think Man City are any worse than they were last year. If anything, I think they're a year stronger, a year more experienced. I don't think Kevin De Bruyne's age means anything. Luka Modric is still ripping it up for Real Madrid at 39. Cruz was still ripping it up at 30, whatever it was. The position he plays on the field and his low energy style of play means he's got another good couple of years in him. Kyle Walker, yeah, fair enough, but they've got enough defenders there. I just think
solid.
It looks solid. Oscar Bobber, the youngster coming in, looks solid. Like I just don't think that unless something bad. I agree. Listen, if Haaland goes down for the season, maybe. But even then, didn't Phil Foden score like 20 goals last year for Man City? You know what I mean? Like, Alvarez weren't their second top goal scorer. I'm pretty sure it's Foden. You know, De Bruyne will score. I just until they get dealt with, or until Pep's gone, like I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't see anyone stopping this Man City team. I really don't.
All right. So Scarf has got Manchester. I can't believe you put Arsenal third. What was your thinking between?
Actually, I don't know who you got there. Liverpool better than Arsenal.
And Liverpool, Garth.
Please.
I just do. I've given you so much credit already today that I felt like I needed to stop. You know. So, in fairness, no. Listen, of course it's Arsenal second over Liverpool, but Liverpool have surprised me. I know they lost to Forest, but Arne Slot's come in and he's done what I didn't think he could do, which is basically keep that team rolling. Like they're going to be in trouble in a couple of years because, as we all know, they're losing Trent, they're losing Salah, they're losing Virgil, but
Alisson.
This season, Alisson, this season. It was. I'll let you pronounce that, bruv. Georgie, I can say his first name, Georgie Marashvili or whatever it is.
Marashvili.
Yeah. So I'm surprised. Fair play to him. Yeah, listen. If anyone is going to do Man City, it's going to be Arsenal. There's no question about that. But yeah, I agree with Alex. Alex said this in the group, and I was tentatively. I hadn't said it before she said. I could see Man City going unbeaten this year. I really could. Like. The way I've seen them start, I know it's different for everyone, but they just look so, what's the word, metronomic. Like they're just like, it's not even like hard work for them. They're just like, we need to score, bosh, score. So yeah, I'm worried for everyone.
I just want to see them play someone decent. I don't believe they played anybody decent yet.
We'll see next week.
Yeah, they got you next week. Next week. I think it is, honestly, I think it's a massive game for the title. It doesn't decide the title, but it gives them bragging rights early on. It gives like that impetus. It gives, because you go 1 point clear, don't you? You're not level 1 points if you beat them. You only drop to.
We go above it.
Honestly, lads, I know you never want to put that much pressure on a game, especially when you're the underdog. Unbelievably, how good your team is. But I think it's a very, very important game for the season. I really do, especially. More so for Arsenal than Man City. I think if you can beat them, lads, like that really gives such an impetus to your season going forward. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's over if Arsenal lose, but I do think
it's definitely not over.
A very, very important game. I think getting a point out of that would be.
From an Arsenal fan's point of view, you have to look at the what could go wrong. I'm not going to sit here and big them up left, right, and centre. Do you know what I mean? You're going to look at the negatives or try to find some negatives. Things that could go wrong. And there are things that could go wrong.
No, definitely. Haaland hasn't had a shot against Arsenal in the last 2 games he've played them. So if we can nullify him completely.
So that hat-trick's loading up then, is what you're saying there. I love them stats.
No, we ain't dropping no Neil Mellors in this one.
180 minutes against Arsenal. Bosh, 4 seconds into the...
Yeah, I hate that.
Every time.
Away. Yeah, he hasn't had a shot on target in the last 2 games against Arsenal, which is phenomenal for a player of his stature. If we can keep the quiet, which is very difficult. Again,
they haven't scored, mate. They haven't scored in 3 games against us.
No, they haven't.
Fair play.
And we've won 2 of them.
See, this is where I get this is why I feel that sometimes, not with you, Garth, but with some fans, there's this disrespect towards Arsenal. I'm like, you do realise what we did last season. I know we didn't win anything and we didn't win the trophy, but we pushed them all the way. And they never beat us, haven't beat us in three times now.
Yeah,
just give us a bit of respect, man.
Is doing those things against City and then
Beating
doing
Fulham.
those things. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's that exactly.
I think that's what the problem got is, Steve. Is it's too easy. You say you want respect. I think that. I mean, I know that we're in the group we're a bit different. I think I give a lot of respect to Arsenal. The problem is, there's not much more you can ask for before it becomes like you haven't won anything. I know you've pushed them far, but. And this is going to sound so snobby, but it's true. When I was a Man United fan, back in the day when it's like Newcastle and it pushed us far, or Liverpool pushed like Man City, you're not even on Man City's radar. They don't care about anyone. They're so far ahead of everyone, Man City. Even if you were only a point behind them, like, and that's my problem with them. Like, so I think like when Arsenal fans are putting themselves in the same breath as Man City, it is a little bit too much. You're not. I'm
not putting them in the same breath as far as like.
Not just Arsenal fans do. It's Pep and Arteta, Man City and Arsenal, the two best teams in the league. No, there's the best team in the league, which is Man City.
No,
then there's
I
Arsenal,
must admit,
and then there's everyone else.
I do think there's a paper thin. I mean, I do think there's a paper thin between us. We've played them 3 times now. We've had them 3 times now. They've hardly beat us. They've hardly had a shot on goal. Right, we finished 2 points behind.
Playing them means nothing.
Paper thin.
I've beaten 3 times in a row. Does that mean Man United like paper thin with Man City? No.
It's getting close to the season.
No, I'm talking about over 38 games over a season.
Yeah, but Arsenal need to win that to bridge that gap. We can't bridge that gap by being close. Being second.
But the thing is, like we drew, didn't we? We drew last season against Man City. If we would have won that game, we're champions.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. This is the difference.
That's why you need 6 points.
That's what Garth is saying.
But when you tell people that, the people are telling me there's a massive gap. Well, how can there be a massive gap?
But for me, it's about the consistency in the other games.
2 different things, though, Steve. There's 2 different things. It's a paper thin gap in the league. Yes, you run them close. But if you're talking about like pound for pound, man for man, put like Arsenal's trophy for trophy, Arsenal aren't on the same sphere as Man City at the moment. And I don't think it's disrespectful to say so. You're on your way there. Not anything, Steve. Like what have you got that Man City would want?
The whole defence is better than Man City. I don't know what to say.
Oh my God! And this is when you get silly, man.
No. It's not silly because everybody says it, Garth. Not just me. It's the world. It's the radio. It's the TV. It's everybody.
But do you think Pep swaps his defence around?
No, probably not. But everybody's saying he was on the rail best defence in Europe. Are they the best defence in the world? You know, but when I big them up to say, they're the best. No, they're not better than City. Yes, they are. They let less goes in.
You do it the wrong way, Steve. Could you just like use? What would Man City want? You want our entire defensive line? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't want all 4 of your defensive line, Man City. They're very happy with Gvardiol. Very, very.
I'm not saying they. Yeah, of course they're happy. They're happy.
You did, Steve. You said our entire back line. Yeah, they'd take Saliba. I don't think they'd take Gabriel over.
Yes.
What they've got there, Diaz or Stones. Of course they wouldn't. There's no way they need to. And right back. I mean, listen, Ben White maybe, but that's not for a Pep type of player. Ben White.
I said the best. I said the best defense in the world. Again, like, don't misquote me, right? I never said player for player. You said player for player, right? The best. It was like Arsenal's. Adam Cole. Best defense in Europe combined was Arsenal in that era, right? Not player for player. Well, not player for player. We're not picking. We're picking the whole defence as a combination, right? I believe.
So every player for player.
I didn't say player for player. You mean
if you're saying that they want the entire back line, the goalkeeper and the back 4, that means that Man City want those 5 players, player for player, to replace the 5 that they've got in their team.
Well, you're bringing up another argument. I just said Arsenal got the best defence combination in Europe. You've changed the narrative to a different conversation.
What would Pep want from Arsenal? What would Pep want?
So we're having a different conversation now, are we?
No, that was what I was to start with.
It wasn't. I said
Man City would want.
What would Man City want from Arsenal?
Yeah.
So it's a different. So we're having a different conversation.
That's the same conversation. Yeah,
but you asked me first. I said we got the best defensive combination in Europe. So now we're on about player for player, are we now? So you want to change it? Yeah. So that's fine.
Steve, I think we've lost in translation, mate. No, that's not.
Yeah.
Like we've just lost in translation there, man. But listen, Arsenal are great. They deserve what they got. But until you win something, you shouldn't be like suggesting you're on the same level
I agree.
as Man City.
I agree.
And that's where some fans will get their back up against Arsenal fans at the moment because there is a lot of us when it's not us, it's them and you.
I agree. People ain't tipping Arsenal to win the title this year. A lot of people because they think they've got a bad team.
No, of course not. Of course not.
No, it's because Messi is so good.
They think that the rise of Arsenal over the last 3 seasons means that if they could continue their trajectory upwards, then they're closing the gap on Man City season by season. So the inevitability will be that one season Arsenal will eventually win that league, just the same way that Jurgen Klopp had to do it with Liverpool. It took him 4 or 5 years to get to there, and then he finally won it. But it just shows how good Man City are. And even in them seasons, there were probably seasons where people thought Man City ain't as good as last season. The season before.
No one's
and they were 1 point, hitting 98 points. No, Man City get 99. It's like they seem to find that extra yard when there's no yards left. When everyone feels like this is it, this is the time when the other team take over, this is the Arsenal's opportunity, they're going to do it. Man City go, flick that nitro switch, and then bang, take it into 6th gear. Where'd you get 6th gear from, mate? Like, it's just something about them, and it's Pep. Like, we could talk about their players all day long, but it's Pep. I just feel like if you was to, someone gets injured, someone comes in, Pep Guardiola turns that player into a player. They could be okay, decent, but Pep Guardiola gets something out of that player that no one else can. Like, so, look, we'll see at the end of the season, but I think next week is going to be a big litmus test for both Manchester City and Arsenal.
Playing good football, both good looking. I'm looking for it's 0-0 again after that. All the hype, all the big up. Can't wait for this one. 0-0.
Do you know what? If we get a 0-0, it shows that defensively we've been absolutely outstanding. To stop Haaland from scoring, and in another game to stop De Bruyne from scoring as well. Like he's another fault in Arsenal side. It's De Bruyne. He's a serious problem when we play.
Yeah.
Like,
see, but we all play different teams over a season, don't we? At different times, But when you got 2 teams like Arsenal, Man City, and where it was so close last year, you say went to the final day. You have to look at the games where they both played each other because it was so close, and there was nothing. Arsenal had the better of them last season. So if you're going into the following season, what do you expect an Arsenal fan to be? You're gonna expect to be confident, aren't you? You've played them 3 times. They can't beat you. Ireland's not got a shot. They've not scored a goal. You've lost it by 2 points because you messed up against Fulham. But I don't think there's a lot to choose between them. But
I think this conversation for me is slightly different if those points aren't dropped against Brighton. Because when you look back at the end of the season, those 2 points against Brighton are essentially the 2 points that we dropped against Southampton the season before.
I guarantee you right now, I guarantee you now 100%, right, the City will drop points against a team worse than Brighton this season.
Yeah, no doubt. But what Arsenal need to do is make sure they don't drop those points against the West Ham, against the Fulham, against the Villa. This is what I'm saying. We pulled those points back last week or the week before against Villa. That's why it's such a big result against Villa. To beat Villa away from home, they're a team that got 6 points or 4 points against us last season. That's devastating. We should be dropping.
Yeah. And what does that tell you about Arsenal's mentality? We're talking about mentality.
Yeah, they picked it up. But now
they went to Aston Villa and thought that's not going to bother us.
Shut them up. Yeah,
you ain't going to beat us again.
Got out of their box and they need to be put back in there. It's the same as Newcastle as well. They've wound me up. They feel like they're a rival to us now. Like Newcastle, put them back in there. But my point is, there's 2 points dropped against Brighton. We didn't drop any points against Brighton last season. Now we've got to get those points back against whoever we did drop last season.
Yeah,
and we've got to hope that Man City drop even more points against crap teams.
We will. On the flip side, we did go down to 10 men. He did deserve to get sent off, in my opinion. Right? He shouldn't have done what he did. right? But you know, in few months' time, Christmas after that point against Brighton could turn out to be a massive point.
It could do. We could be looking back on that and going, that's 10 men. We were robbed, but we still managed to pull the points back up.
And we won the point. We beat City by a point.
Yeah, or you could be looking back at the end of the season, and you've lost to Man City by a single point.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
But do you see what I mean? Like
connection was lost.
Rival fans are going to say what Garth said, right? And I understand that. But if you're an Arsenal fan, you're not going to say that. So it swings and roundabouts, and it could go one way, it could go that way. A United and Spurs fans are going to say, yeah, well, you could have, that point if you would have won. And Arsenal fans can say it the other way.
We can, but we will see next week. Big game against Manchester City. Big game.
Big match.
Score prediction.
We
won't do that now. We've gone for an hour and 40. We're not doing that now. All right. Thank you for everyone who's watched this night. Thank you, Rush, in the comment section. Appreciate your support there. Anyone watching on YouTube, make sure you press that like and subscribe button. And if you are a regular, press that like and share button. Hit the little copy button. It all helps in the algorithm. Put us to the front page. If you're watching on Twitter, press that like, press that subscribe. Appreciate your support there as well. Go and follow Steve K and the Transfer Exchange Show for all the latest transfer news. Garth, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure as always, lads. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We didn't get to
good luck against Barnsley, mate, in a week. I hope you can get through that.
Well, mate, I don't know. It's Man United. It's not about when you're like, it's all about joy being a football fan. It certainly ain't. It's about being depressed and unhappy.
Yeah, I thought we had Bolton, but we ain't, have we? We got Atlanta. But there you go.
That's Atlanta.
Yeah.
Of course the Europa League team, it's a different format in it than the Champions League. We discussed that on another day. We'll probably talk about that next week. The Champions League format that is completely changed, which will see some of the best teams in the world take on each other at the early stages and give, I think it's 4 more smaller teams.
He's going like,
oh no! It's the format. It's not about you being in the Champions League. It's the reformat of it.
It's the reformat, which is essentially to be the new Super League rather than people moving to the Super League.
So unnecessary. Yeah, it's so obvious what they do.
We'll talk about it another week. But for me, it's a bit of a sellout. Like you've seen that the Super League could potentially derail the Champions League, and you've got to change the Champions League to what Super League was going to be. And I just think to myself, like, it's just everyone loved the Champions League, man. We loved it. Like the new format was changed.
Change it.
Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, because it's a league, isn't it? Now we're going 3 points, 1 point, 3 points to 1 point against Atlanta.
Yeah, against.
Well, you only play them once. You only play Atlanta once.
You don't play big games. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, though, just quickly before we go, Atlanta are going to be a difficult team. C. Clash and that's Ben Godfrey.
Yeah. Ademola Lookman.
Yeah. Champions League, boy. All teams don't be taking out Atlanta.
Europa League winners last season. That's
the pure competition as well, the Europa League. That's where the big boys play. That's where you see the real football on display.
If you could do it on a Thursday night in Chechnya, you could do it.
5,000-mile round trip.
Yes, some radiation poisoning as you fly over Chernobyl.
Is Europa League's the same, isn't it? It's a league
exactly the same.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Oh.
You play 8 games. 2 against the top seeded, 4 against the middle seeded, 2 against the bottom seeded.
Yeah. I noticed tomorrow. I'd looked this week. Like the games were on about 5 different channels.
Yeah, the games go on to Arsenal playing on Thursday, didn't they?
Yeah,
the Champions League.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. It's money grab, nothing more, nothing less. It's a disgrace.
See, Man City are playing Tuesday, which is an absolute disgrace as well.
Again, we will get onto this. We will get onto this Champions League subject next week. So it's definitely something we need to talk about. Obviously, people are not happy about the new format. Steve was essentially not happy about Man City getting a game on Tuesday and Arsenal to play Thursday, which is clearly a bomb that's
Kieran saw a 30-minute conversation flash before his eyes. He's like, man, I need dinner.
Yeah. Exactly what I was doing. Exactly. Like, no, we're not doing it. I'm hungry. My stomach is rumbling.
8 p.m.
Right.
tomorrow, people. The Arsenal show.
8 p.m.
I'll be giving my
Make
views.
sure we'll be talking about the Champions League. We'll have Manchester City on in the background, and hopefully we'll be cheering on the other team as well. Thank you for joining us, everyone, tonight. Thank you for joining us, Garth and Steve. Peace out.
Cheers, mate.
Stay safe and wash your hands.